Well, week 7 into the Champions League brought us matches that did not disappoint, with big games, drama, comebacks, and controversy, with unfortunately teams already getting knocked out. Here are the results from both yesterday and today's matches. Here we are with the first game of this Champions League, with Atalanta winning comfortably against Sturm Graz with a great performance by Charles and also Adama Lukman. And also here we are with Monaco beating Aston Villa at home. Aston Villa drops from 5th place and now being 9th place with an early goal by Singo. Liverpool here with a massive win that keeps them undefeated so far in this new Champions League format, with goals by Mohamed Salah and Harvey Elliott. Now here in Spain with Atletico Madrid playing against Bayer Leverkusen, which Bayer Leverkusen did look like they were performing way better, with a brace by Julian Alvarez, who scores in the last minute. Another close game here in the dying minutes, with Barcelona winning against Benfica 5-4. It was a 96-minute winner by Raphiana. And big wins with Stuttgart, Bologna, and PSV, with Juve yet getting another draw this season. These were the matches that were played on Tuesday. Now let's head on to the games that were played on Wednesday. With Shakhtar winning against Brest, trying to keep themselves into contention of heading to playoffs. Leipzig, even with their win against Sporting, still does not help them, with them being knocked out of the Champions League. One of the top teams already being knocked out so far. AC Milan with a 1-0 win against Spanish side Girona puts Milan in contention to skip the playoff stage if they make top 8. A shocking 3-0 defeat by Bayern with an amazing surprising performance by Feyenoord, with Mexican star who is heavily linked to move to AC Milan getting a brace, Santiago Jimenez. Arsenal with a comfortable 3-0 win against Dinamo Zagreb with goals by Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Martin Odegaard. Another heavy defeat with Manchester City having a 2-0 lead stripped away from them, with PSG making an incredible comeback to keep themselves in the Champions League, with Manchester City also being in contention to being knocked out. A 1-0 lead from Inter with a goal by Lautaro Martinez against Sparta Prague, and a 1-0 win by Celtic against Young Boys, with a brilliant performance from the 4 main men from Real Madrid that keeps their dreams alive by winning 5-1 against Austrian side Red Bull Salzburg. A lot of games were underway, so let's talk about the main big ones. The last 2 days with the Champions League had been a bunch of upsets, comebacks, and insane moments, and here we're going to cover everything that's what went on. The games here that happened yesterday, I covered in the beginning, with Leipzig beating Sporting 2-1, with Real Madrid beating Salzburg 5-1. Feyenoord comfortably a surprisingly win 3-0 against Bayern Munich. Shakhtar Donetsk with a 2-0 win against Brest. PSG making a comeback, being 2-0 down against Manchester City, with City might have honestly get knocked out if it doesn't go their way next week, with AC Milan beating Girona comfortably in a 1-0 win, with Celtic and Young Boys having a 1-0 win for Celtic, and then Arsenal with 3-0 win. Looking good, Arsenal makes them higher in the group, with Inter Milan beating Sparta Prague. A bunch of changes recently happened to the new Champions League format, league table type of format that they have now, with a bunch of teams going down, a bunch of teams going up, surprising teams that people didn't think would get knocked out. And here, as you can see in the table, Liverpool comfortably being undefeated so far, with Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter Milan being the top 4 as of right now, for Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, Atalanta, and Leverkusen finishing up the automatic qualification to the round of 16. All this could change. Only teams that are locked in are Liverpool and Barcelona, but besides that, it's free roam for everybody. Aston Villa can still catch up. Real Madrid still has a chance, a very small chance, 1% chance, 97% faith to make it to the top 8 and auto qualify for the round of 16. With teams like Bayern Munich that are heading down after defeats. Same with Manchester City. This table has this new format has been absolute crazy. People are loving it. People are hating it. People are saying it's confusing. People are saying this makes the Champions League more intense, more valuable, more just entertaining to watch, because of all this is what Champions League means for. Every game matters. You can't lose a game. You gotta be the best team out there if you're looking to compete. So personally, for me, I do like this new format. I feel like it makes teams try to not just have, I guess, just have a way of not trying in certain games. You need to win all these games. Madrid could get knocked out, or not knocked. They still made the next. They could have got knocked out because they lost 3 games already in this new format. If you lost 3 games in the old format, you were done. You were knocked out already. So, but here, every game matters just as much. With trying to auto qualify for round 16, if you even want to make it a playoffs, there are a lot of games to cover. But the first game I want to cover here is Real Madrid versus Red Bull Salzburg. Here, this game, Real Madrid just looked absolute dominant, same as they did against Las Palmas the other week. As you can see here, Real Madrid just had way more possession of the ball, shots to target, pass completed, and expected goals. They scored 5 goals. They could have scored 6 or 7. Salzburg did look pretty decent for me in the first just a little bit in the 10 minute around 10 minutes in the beginning of the first half. I feel like they pressured a lot and Madrid kept on playing back, but after that it just completely changed. After this 5-1 win, Real Madrid are confirmed to make it to the playoffs. They cannot get knocked out as people were speculating before. Um, you, Madrid, they need a miracle if they want to make top 8. Um, yeah, Real Madrid is just for me a team that's just getting better and better as of right now. They weren't looking as everyone knows they were losing games left and right. They were tying games. They were losing games unexpectedly. They lost against Leo already in the Champions League, AC Milan, and Liverpool, and they were heavy defeats. It wasn't. It was just a mess for Real Madrid. They did not look anywhere near the as they were last season. They look completely worse. I'm talking as of the beginning of this season. Um, but I think right after Christmas is when Real Madrid started stepping up as a team. And Mbappe especially. Mbappe, what a player he's becoming how he was when he was in his prime PSG. Mbappe even hasn't even hit his prime, but as when he was at his best at PSG. Um, for me, I've always said um, that I didn't think that Mbappe and Vini, Rodrygo, and Bellingham were ever going to work. Not ever, but at first. I said it before Mbappe even joined. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. I've said in past videos as well that Mbappe and Vini and then Rodrygo, I feel like it wouldn't mesh well at the start. Uh, it's just that they all are all naturally left wingers, and when you have arguably two of the best players in the world wanting to play in the same position, I just knew that it wouldn't as work as well for Real Madrid. I've said it a bunch of times. A more balanced team would be Mbappe on the left, Endrick up top with Brahim Diaz on the right, or even Rodrygo on the left and Mbappe up top with Brahim Diaz on the right. I just don't. At first I didn't think Vini with Mbappe would ever work well together. Wouldn't mesh well at first. But now I feel like they're starting to get into the groove of things. They looked really good against Las Palmas. They looked really good against Salzburg. They could have got more than 5 goals. And goals right now in the Champions League matters. It completely matters. A bunch of teams are tied in points, so goal difference as of right now matters the most. Determines if you're going to qualify to round 16 or playoffs, even if your team hasn't got knocked out yet. But of course, you can't forget about Rodrygo. Rodrygo is for me the most underrated player. Most underrated star player in the world right now. Rodrygo is just amazing with the ball. Especially these last 2 games, that has looked as Real Madrid's best 2 games, and Rodrygo is part of that. He's the key reason to that, and that he definitely should get the recognition that he deserves. I really want to see Real Madrid perform as sure against a Salzburg that I don't believe are top in their league, and a Las Palmas that is not good at all in La Liga as of right now. But that's still so important for Real Madrid for team morale, for heading steps in the right direction. Because these games matter because we're top in La Liga. They want to stay up there. They got to keep on winning games. Same with Champions League. They're the kings of Europe. They don't belong to getting just about to get knocked out in the Champions League. They have to turn it around, and I'm starting to like what Carlos Ancelotti has been doing with Real Madrid. At first, I've said it a bunch of times. I don't really like the way how he uses the team, the tactics, and just how he organizes the team with not using players, with putting just his favorites on, thinking that it's the right thing, or how he thinks how he runs the team. For the past 2 games, 3 games, I've actually really liked of how he's been doing using the young players. He's starting to give academy players some minutes, starting to give the young star talents some minutes like Endrick and Arda. The academy with with Guillermo and Aguado and Jacob Ramon. Really like what he has been doing with there, and also starting. Still some flaws. I don't think Lucas Vasquez should start as a right back anymore. He didn't start against Salzburg, but just in general, might as well just put Fede at right back as of for now until you get a right back solution sorted, or play Aguado on right back. Like, he can't be worse than Vasquez at right back. I do really rate Vasquez. He's a winger. He's a natural winger. He's not a right back. He's being forced to play there for a couple years now. I think attacking, Vasquez is really, for me, attacking, he's really good. I would rather prefer him as being just a super sub. I don't think we want to see him at right back anymore. So I think Fede Aguado should start that. I think Ferran Garcia should start every week for Real Madrid. Don't really rate Mendy as highly. I think Ferran Garcia should be a main starter and just progress as a player and try to. I think he could become one of the best left backs in the world right now, Ferran Garcia, if he gives him the chance. But yeah, is this Real Madrid's turnaround? Madrid look way better than they have since the beginning. Sure, the Classico game was not that long ago. It was 10 days ago at most. For me, it's just still so good for Real Madrid, just for team morale, trying to get better, their mindset, their headset right. Another thing for Real Madrid is I really think Asensio he starts again after starting against Las Palmas. Asensio starting, he needs to start week in and week out. I really rate Asensio as a defender. He's, for me, just so valuable for Real Madrid at the moment. The one thing that Real Madrid are lacking in is defense. With a bunch of players being injured, Alaba slowly coming back, but he's not ready, fully 100% like ready to have 90 minutes every week yet. But Madrid need a proper right back. Fede is not going to be that main man for the rest of the season. You need, unless they sign someone in January. Trent, sure, he's good attackingly, but defensively is what Real Madrid needs as of right now. And I just don't think Trent's that guy. Fede is not naturally a right back. Vasquez is not naturally a right back. I think this is Ancelotti's fault. I feel like he could have progressed a bunch of Castile players early on to the season. So just in case of a situation happens like this when a right back does get hurt, or a certain player, it doesn't even have to be a right back, you have a backup already, ready to take on that role. So that's one thing I didn't like Ancelotti of, is not progressing these Castile players so early on. Because you need to, because anything can happen. If Courtois gets hurt and London gets hurt, you need to use a Castile player. That's what Barca does with Ter Stegen after getting hurt. If look at the defense, look at center back with Militao, Alaba getting hurt. Thankfully, Asensio was that defender that stood up and doing his job correctly. But same with right back. Right back's another problem. That's what I didn't like when Ancelotti does. You need to be ready just in case stuff like this happens. He doesn't like, as he said in his book himself, he doesn't like progressing players. He likes to use the players that he has and win trophies. That's his job, is to win, not to progress youngsters. Which, we'll see what happens with Carlos Ancelotti. As of right now, I don't. There's rumors of him agreeing to leave in the summer, but which he later on denied, saying he's staying for as long as they want him to stay. With I really want Xabi Alonso in Real Madrid. I feel like he transformed the team for the better, and he would suit Real Madrid so much, and I think he'll give more the youngsters a chance. So this was Real Madrid with a 5-1 against Salzburg, and here we are with yet another crazy comeback from the Catalan Giants, FC Barcelona. Barcelona here, for me, I watched the entire game full and through, and Barcelona were the better team. I did think that Benfica had a bunch of players that were performing well, such as their young Spanish left back. They used to be in Madrid's academy and United's youth system. I feel Benfica did get a bunch of lucky goals. One thing that's not a lie. Barcelona, at first they did look a little sloppy towards the beginning of the half, but they were the better team in general. One thing about the Barcelona game was Szczesny. Szczesny was, I don't know what he was smoking on. He was going for balls that he shouldn't really have. He gave away a penalty, almost killed his player out there, Boulder. And same with the Benfica goalie. I think the two goalies were just having a weird time. It was just, because Barca, people are saying because Barca is more of an attacking team, so more a high end team. So Chesney needs to push up more. But you know, when you sure you haven't played as much this season, you hardly ever played. You played a couple games this season so far. But as a veteran, you can't have performances like that. If you lost the game, it probably wouldn't have been much in the difference, maybe in the qualifying stage of the Champions League. But as a goalie, you just can't make errors like that. Messi. But for me, Pedri, I always said this. For me, he's the best central midfielder in the world right now. There's a difference between, I'm not saying just midfield in general, like discounting attacking midfield and defensive midfielders, but as a central midfielder, Pedri is the best central midfielder in the world right now. People heavily disagree. They think Pedri's overrated. The people have been saying this for years, but people also rate Pedri highly, and I'm one of those. I'm a Real Madrid fan, and I would take Pedri in a heartbeat. Pedri is the type of player. Sure, his stats don't, or his stats, not stats, but his goals doesn't show it. But if you watch Barca week in and week out, Pedri's the type of player that changes the play, that changes the dynamic of the team. He's that key player to Barcelona. He's just as important as Lamine Yalmal in Barcelona right now. For me, Pedri and Lamine are the two most important and the two best players of Barcelona right now. And people that don't rate Pedri or don't give him his flowers or just completely brain that they need to see how good Pedri is, and just seeing TikToks and edits of other players and just basing it off that, then you don't know ball. Pedri is, for me, the best central midfielder in the world right now. And for me, Benfica, they had more control of the ball and more time on the ball, more control on the ball on some certain points during the game. Because Barcelona, I guess, attacked. And for me, Benfica, they had more control of the ball and more time on the ball, more control on the ball on some certain points during the game. Because Barcelona, I guess, attack and press high or high attacking, just gave more of a benefit for Benfica to I just have control and try to stay up the place, because the crosses did look pretty good in that game with the fullbacks performing. Well, sure mistakes from Chesney also, but besides that, Barcelona at the end of the day were the better team. People say or unhappy with the last play of Raphiana's goal with there should have been a penalty for Benfica, saying goalkeeper errors, luck for Barcelona, but robbery, because people say Lamine dived as well, which I could see what they mean by that, but this game was one of the Champions League games that you love to see. What an intense game! Two top teams in Europe, and just amazing game. Well, another game that is comeback, I guess, intense game was PSG versus Manchester City. PSG were up 2-0, goals by Jack Grealish and Erling Haaland, but Manchester City couldn't keep that lead with goals by Ousmane Dembele, Barcola, João Neves, and Gonçalo Ramos. at the end of the day, City could have lost 6-2. Um, City are just an embarrassing club to look at right now. I started liking them. Their form. They started picking up in form recently. I think they won 5 games. You know, December, November, whatever, was not their month. What, losing 10 games in a row, or not having a win in 10 games. I thought they were coming back. They're making huge signings. I don't think anything. None of them have played yet. With Marmouche and Reyes, Zubamendi being linked with in the Kazakhstan, I think, center back that they have, they just purchased. But yeah, City just are just just embarrassing, completely embarrassing. This was huge for PSG as they were at the brink of being knocked out of the Champions League. Same with Manchester City. This puts them towards a playoff spot. Still one more game to go. Really important. A bunch of teams still undecided as they are until the end of the next games. Uh, Man City just, it's embarrassing to think that they might not even make it through to the next round, the last 16, let alone the playoffs in this new format. I saw people were saying that they don't like this new format because a team like City can lose 3 games out of 8 and still qualify easily. It was not even qualifying easily because City needs just one game to determine where they are in the future in this competition. As you can see, every game matters here. Every game, tables turns, teams changes. Underperform, perform well. It's just really this depends really of how um you have these games in end. The one thing I don't like Pep Guardiola is about it. He's a top manager, one of the best managers in the world. But one thing I don't rate Pep highly is you're having an underperforming season. You had a pretty decent half in the beginning, and then recently you just had a huge slump. The first thing you do is buy 200 million worth of reinforcements. That's one thing I don't like City and Pep for. You're going for one little slump, you put all your money have. Sure, people are saying that their buy to sell ratio, whatever, it's even, and that they should be allowed to buy because they sold. But just over the years in general, it's just you spent so much just because you have a few your net worth, or not net worth, but your buy to sell ratio, whatever, is equal now, doesn't justify the fact that like you spent £1 billion um on reinforcements, and now you're spending another 2 million or 200 million in January alone, let alone January, because you're having a slump. Is just I just don't think that's, I'm not gonna say it's gonna solve anything, but it's just not a good look, because it just shows that, like, I feel like you want to see any other team do that. I don't even think Real Madrid are the type of team to do that. If they're having a little slump, you go in January and spend 200 million. That's the one thing I didn't like Pep Guardiola. For me, sure, it's not even involved with the whole thing, but that's why I just rate Jurgen Klopp so much highly. He more of sure, he's bought big stars with big money, but he gets the best out of his players. Um you know, Jurgen Klopp is just the type of manager that you would rather have long term than Pep Guardiola. I think Pep is just spend, get your players, boom. Pep has never been in a team that was quote unquote bad. Jurgen Klopp has, he's been there for Mainz, Dortmund, and when he first joined Liverpool with that, you look, in that Liverpool team wasn't the best team nowhere near in the Premier League. And then he changes it around. I think Pep Guardiola, or not Pep, Jurgen Klopp is just, if I were City, I'd rather have him in this situation than Pep. But yeah, this could be City's end run of this Champions League. They're versing Club Brugge next. The most likely would win, because they're City. But it's gonna be a really close. It's gonna be a really tight, close battle towards the end of this. The end of next week's week 8 of the new Champions League format. So we'll see what happens with Manchester City. Another huge and surprising game that has happened was with FC Bayern Munich versus Feyenoord. This game here had shocked everybody. Bayern being, for people, one of the best and top teams in the world right now. For me, I've never, last season they looked nowhere near as how they were before. Winning Bundesliga for Bayern is a guarantee every year if you're Bayern. Leverkusen just looked really good under Xabi Alonso, but you know, if you're having is if I'll explain this here. If you're not gonna have a good Wells, Bayern, if you're underperforming the Bundesliga is one thing, but underperforming Champions League at the same time. Bayern are first place in their league. I'll give it to that. Leverkusen just right behind them. But having disappointed season last season, I didn't see them coming in, as hot as people think they are. I think the top of the league, should be a must for Bayern. With losing to a team 3-0 like Feyenoord, who is a really good team and that they drew against City. Just can't have that happen. You're under Dortmund right now in the Champions League, which this Dortmund team looks nowhere near their prime. This Dortmund team are losing week in, drawing week out. So with a team like Feyenoord scoring 3 easily on you, and your fullbacks not performing as they should, and your one fullback's not performing good, and your other guy injured, it's not really looking good for company and for his job. With people saying, Feyenoord was setting fireworks outside their apartment and the flares which delayed the game in the beginning. Those are just excuses. Sure, if you want to blame the whole fireworks thing to everybody, you can say that, but that's happened to Madrid, and that never really stopped them from winning games. So if you just gotta have your players get the job done. Harry Kane couldn't get a job done. Feyenoord's goalkeeper just looked on top of his game. He looked like Prime Neuer. Kimmich and Upamecano, they are not, for me, a good set duo, especially with Kimmich playing matching up well with Upamecano. For me, they don't mesh well. For me, that's the one thing with Bayern Munich that I'm heavily not disagree on. Just a one X factor of Bayern is the defense. I feel like they have big name players or players that they bring in that are heavily favorited, heavily big names, and they just don't work well. You can say that about Ligt, Upamecano, Kim. Those they just underperform for Bayern, and they have an aging team. They don't have the youngest team in the world. Coleman is not how he was a couple of years ago. Harry Kane is nowhere near, as young as he was, and with like SSurge Gnabry and Sane. For me, Musiala, I think he should try to get a move away from Bayern. It's kind of hard where to say because I feel like all teams in the world right now are pretty compact. Arsenal, the last thing they need is an attacking player. So, or they need a striker, but not another midfield attacking. Liverpool, I possibly you could see him at Liverpool. Musiala, I don't see him in Madrid. Don't see him at Barca. He's good enough to play for those teams. It's just with how those teams are right now with their players, they just wouldn't work. The same City, United, if United get a rebrand, I don't think it's any of the coach's problem. I didn't really think it was Ten Hag's fault. Sure, he had his faults, but same with the manager that they have now. I think it's more just it's an in-house issue for Manchester United. So, Tottenham's out of the question. PSG, she should go nowhere near PSG. Inter, I don't think so. Pretty much, if Bayern want to try to keep Musiala and keep him as their star player, keep them as their future generation star, they need to make some changes, Bayern. Defensive wise, they need to bring in more young talent. Um, because Bayern uh, is not really very good. Maybe, replace Harry Kane with the striker that scored two against you, Santiago Jimenez. I've always liked Santiago Jimenez. I actually wanted him in Real Madrid when Benzema left, as a backup nine or whatever. Because I really did like he won the Eredivisie with Feyenoord. He looks like a solid number nine. He was linked around everywhere in Europe. I think he was close to joining, I forgot, Nottingham Forest, I believe, this summer that just passed. Now he's heavily linked to AC Milan, but I could 100% see him at Bayern Munich because Kane is, you know, he's in that age where he's going to be out in a couple of years. So, one of those things Bayern needs to change is I think Santiago Jimenez would be a good proper signing for Bayern Munich. And the last game we have here is Liverpool against Lille. This is huge for Liverpool. This automatically qualifies them for the round of 16. This keeps them undefeated um, for the Champions League. They look sure they've had a little slump. It's not a slump where they lose games; it's just a slump of underperforming, but they still get the result. But it's huge for Liverpool. You can rest your player against the next game. I think they have PSV, I believe. But you still want that number one spot. You can still lose it to Barcelona, and the whole seeding thing matters. Liverpool they're in first, but they could honestly match up with a team like Juve or a Bayern or whoever is placing towards the bottom of the brackets. Even a City, if that works. I still think I gotta get used to the formats. I don't know if they're allowed to verse same country teams yet. But yeah, Salah. I think he performed really really well against Salzburg. For me, as of right now, I think he should be number one in the ranking for the Ballon d'Or. Salah, I was talking to other people the other day, and they were saying how Salah is overrated and that a Ballon d'Or should go to a player more like Raphiana. And they say that Salah has nowhere near the footwork and I guess dribbling wise as Raphiana or whatever. And I'm like, that's just gonna be bogus. I feel like Salah's known for making those plays, for cutting inside, making those goals. Um, and Salah, he has stats to prove it. He's top scorer in Premier League, top assist leader in the Premier League. He has 11 more contributions than second place, which is I believe is Cole Palmer. So I think Salah for not being a candidate in the Ballon d'Or race is just complete bogus, or being a top two candidate. But you know, but Liverpool being first is just really good for them on paper. Being first in the Premier League, being first in the Champions League. Semifinals right now, the EFL Cup, they were 1-0 down to Tottenham, but Liverpool, January has not really been Liverpool's month. They looked sloppy against Manchester United. Trent, the horrible defending was not just his fault. Salah went down a little bit as he was performing since the beginning of the season. But besides that, besides this month, Liverpool looked amazing. I think if Barcelona and Liverpool, which are the two top teams right now, as you can say, I think Real Madrid will catch up. I think Liverpool will still win either games. So big result for Liverpool here. Jonathan David scored with Mohamed Salah and Harvey Elliott for Liverpool, and we'll see what happens to Liverpool towards the end of the Champions League season. So here we have today is the conclusion of the week 7 of the Champions League. Bunch of close games, bunch of comebacks, bunch of unexpected games of teams losing. So this bracket is so close. Every game matters, and I really like this new format. I really like the new bracket system. Everyone sure group stage system. People were like, if it's not broken, don't change it, or don't fix it. But as of right now, I'm actually a huge fan of this new bracket. So we'll see how next week all games are being played at the same time, so no one's doing either or of if if this team wins, we gotta do that, score this much, whatever, lose. So yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you later.